Alrighty, let's talk about building ref tracks. In order to these are tracks that allow the band to practice along with the original track plus click and cues. Really good resource. Just kind of lets the band practice through the whole set as it's going to happen. So the first thing we need to go do is go to Planning Center and download the MP3 files of these songs off of Planning Center. So I'm going to download Be Glad. Download. I'm going to download On Earth Is in Heaven. Go to Files, MP3, and download it. I'm going to go to Let the People Sing. Files. I usually download the original tracks and just warp those original tracks into whatever keys I'm actually doing. And then we need Gratitude as well. So let me just find Gratitude here. Gratitude. Files. MP3 in, I believe the original is B. There it is. Okay. All right, so I've downloaded all those songs, the MP3 files for them. I'm going to come back to Ableton, and now we need to import those MP3 files into the project. So I'm going to open up my file browser, go to my downloads. If your downloads or your Ableton files are not in your browser, you can add them right here. Hit Add Folder, select that folder, and when you hit Open, you can browse that right within Ableton. Makes it really easy. So let's go to our downloads. Okay, the songs are in there. Oh, I see. Let's go ahead and import Be Glad. So I'm going to take Be Glad, I'm going to move it into the original tracks, and now I need to line it up. So in order to line it up, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to expand this to see the waveforms. Then I'm going to expand the drum track for Be Glad and line up the waveforms on those drums. I'm always going to look for the drum hits and try to line those up, and you can get really granular with this. Line up, you can see that drum hit matches that one. Once those line up, you should be right on click. I turned the volume down on the original track 6 dB because they're really loud compared to the click and all that. So I'm going to take that volume down -6. But it's lined up. There it is. Pretty easy to do. I'm going to do the same thing for On Earth Is in Heaven. Let's go and import On Earth Is in Heaven. We'll just drag it straight into the timeline. Alrighty. And we're going to zoom in. I'm going to collapse Be Glad. And open up On Earth Is in Heaven. And you can see where those drums start clearly here, and clearly that matches that. So we're going to drag this all the way over, and I'm going to zoom way in and match these waveforms up as close as I can get them. A lot of times I like to use this as a reference to, I can say like, okay, the peak is right here. So I can move this to that same spot. I can compare. There we go. So you want those to be pretty much to the millisecond. It's a little off. Let's try and get that perfect. Oh yeah, I see what I did. So this peak, I believe, is this peak. Nope, got that wrong. Yeah, I'm a little off right here. Not bad. Now in the transition between these two, what I can do is I can roll this out, and then he's got these little squares for fading. I can just drag that and then drag it again, and it crossfades between the two songs. So watch. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, let's go to the third song, which is Let the People Sing. Let's go ahead and drag Let the People Sing in. Collapse these, and then look at the drum track for Let the People Sing. We're pretty close. Just need to move this guy back a little bit. Back forward again. The more you zoom in, the more granular you can get with the timing. So zooming all the way in is really helpful because you can actually look at the individual samples of the song. See that? You can see every little frame, almost like frames in video. That's every sample. You can get down to a sample level with the timing. Not bad. Same thing. Drag this out. Crossfade it. Probably a little less than that. Yeah. Oops. Not bad. And now let's do the last one, gratitude. Let's go ahead and drop that in. Collapse, let the people sing, and open up gratitude. Now gratitude's harder because gratitude does not have a drum beat until I use drum beats because they're very quick transients. It's a very clearly defined waveform. Where a piano or something like that does not have such a defined waveform at all, so it's a lot harder to use, right? So I happen to know that the song kind of starts over here, so we just need to find that clear section where it kind of goes into that verse. So right here, go on response is verse 2. Vamp, verse 2, 3, 4. I've got one response. I think I have that in the wrong tempo. I do. Give me one sec. Multitracks.com. Let's see what tempo gratitude is. Gratitude. It's this one. 78. It is the correct tempo. Doesn't sound like it, does it? Ah, look at that. So this is warped to 100 for some reason. Let's unwarp that sucker, and it'll come back to what it's supposed to be. Wow, that was super strange. Yeah, that's what I want to see. All right, now I have a transient. So those are some of the little things that you'll run across. And knowing when the song is slower that there's probably a problem with warp, really helpful when you run into that. And if you don't know about that, that can become a real time-consuming issue. But because I know what warping tempo is, I was able to identify and fix that very quickly. Okay, so this should be... I've got just All right, so I've got all of the tracks lined up. Gratitude's an odd one. I have this chopped down, but the original track is not chopped down. We'll address that later, but for the purposes of this video, I want to talk about the ref tracks specifically. So now that we've built the ref track, I want to teach you how to export it. So... Alright, so the original tracks are in there, they're lined up. Now we need to export these original tracks with the click and cues over them, okay? So really, for a ref track, we don't want any of these multi-tracks coming through. All we need is the countdown, the original track, the cues, and the click. That's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reroute those things to the master bus, and then we're going to export the master bus, okay? So I'll show you how we do that. So I'm going to go to my MIDI click, and instead of external out, I'm just going to send it to the master. I'm going to send my cues to the master. I'm going to send my original track to the master, which it already is. And then I'm going to send my countdown tracks individually to the master. And now, if I mute everything but the master, I don't have to mute it. I'm just doing this for a demonstration. Everything that I want to hear in my ref track is going to the master. And again, I can unmute I can leave these unmuted. But so now all I got to do is tell Ableton, hey, export the master track. Everything that's going to the master, export that to a new MP3. So to do that, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the region of time that I want to export, because I really don't need this 2-minute video to be exported. I really just need the part that the band starts playing. So I'm going to start here, give it a little lead in, click there, hold shift, and then click the end of my project. And I just selected a range of time. It doesn't matter which track I'm on. It just matters that that range of time is selected. So I'm going to select that range of time. And then I'm going to go to File, Export Audio Video. And I'm going to say Rendered Track, Master Track. That means that anything that's going to the master is what's going to go to this MP3 file, right? That's got my start and finish length of time that I selected right here. Don't want it to be a PCM file. That's how I export a wave. I want to export an MP3 file right there. And I'm just going to hit the export button. And let's label it test. I'll just label it test set ref track. And I hit save. And then it's going to export that entire ref track. And that's what I want it to do. This process can take anywhere from 30 seconds to 10 minutes. It just depends on the set. But start to finish, that's how you do it. It'll work every time. And then just upload that to Planning Center. So that really is the process. My entire process, start to finish, of building Ableton sets, exporting ref tracks, and routing for a Sunday morning. That's about every piece of information you're going to need to know, basically, to have full control and full awareness and ability to do Ableton. There are some subtle things along the way, like building the cues, channels and stuff like that. All the legwork I've done on the back end already. And we can dive into that if you want, but it's really not necessary. As long as you have access to the Dropbox, that's all you need to know to build and to do everything else. So hopefully that's enlightening. Hopefully that helps you kind of understand a little bit more about Ableton and how it works and be more confident with the set on a Sunday morning. But that is all for me.